Welcome back to MTN Live in the Mountains. So here on the couch with us, once again, we have wonderful Dan Meyer. Thank you, Dan, for coming in.
Good to be here.
And we also have Bill Bailey. How are you doing today, Bill?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Well,
nice to be here.
I know, we're really glad to have you all here on the couch with us. So, every week, we have you come in and we always talk about some really great new thing. What's going on today?
Well, what I wanted to share a little bit about today is something that's very important to business, to the Chamber, and that is what are some of the how do builders, developers come into our town and the county, they're two separate groups, and if they have a project that they would like to build, what do they go through? How do they go through it? What is the setup, the legislative, if you want to call that, the governing bodies that are set up to do that work? And because they're guidelines that you have to go by in order to do development. Mm-hmm. There are all kinds. I was just looking. I pulled this off of the website. there are things related to zoning districts, permissible uses, intensity. How many people can be in a certain area? There are different districts in town. How many business districts, Bill?
There's 3 primary.
3 primary and residential?
Oh gosh, 4.
4 different ones. And then we have neighborhoods, special neighborhoods on top of that.
Yes.
So there are a lot of I'm going to call them hoops to jump through. That's not I'm not meaning that negative as much as there's a lot of regulations that have to be met. You just can't go in and say, I've got a piece of property and I'm going to build this the way I want to build it. It has to follow some guidelines. And the reason for those guidelines are very good because it allows the community to be built in a way that is sustainable, supposedly, and that is pretty, and all of those other things that you want your hometown to be.
Right.
Bill has the wonderful job of being the director of planning and inspections, and somebody that I've found very approachable, and I bounce questions off of Bill all the time because I hear lots of things that come in from business owners or developers and say, what about this, what about that? And Bill has always been very good to respond quickly and in a way that I understand it because I don't know all the lingo that he has to deal with. But Bill, share for the folks well, for instance, last Monday we had a special committee that came back to talk about affordable housing. Yes. So that was a task force.
Yes.
And that task force was created by the town. But give us kind of the structure of how that works, top down and then bottom back up.
Well, generally how local government works here in North Carolina, you have a council or a county commission. They appoint boards. There are mandatory boards like the Board of Adjustment and the Planning Commission. Then there are other boards that are voluntary. In other words, the council can choose to set them up or not set them up. Affordable housing is one of those. So those members are appointed by the elected body and then typically staffed by different departmental staff. In my case, we staff the Affordable Housing Task Force, which is the one you were referring to. So we would draft whatever the Affordable Housing Task Force was looking for. They would then approve it internally through their process, and then they would present it back to town council. So they don't have unilateral authority to take action. They have to go back to town council to do that.
And in fact, there's another meeting tonight.
Yes.
Now, last week, that was an open meeting to the community. The meeting is tonight as well, but tonight the Planning Commission kind of looks over the affordable housing proposal, right? And they make a determination whether to support or tweak or not support or whatever, and make a recommendation to the council.
Right. Our process is a 3-step process. You have to have a public hearing. So the public hearing is a joint hearing with the Planning Commission and the Town Council. That was last Monday in this case. We call it the quarterly public hearing cycle. So that meeting took place. That's where all the testimony is presented, the text is presented, questions are asked and answered, and then that meeting is over once the testimony is finished. The job next in the second phase is the Planning Commission. They take all of that information and they discuss it. They may have questions for staff, they may have questions among each other, but they will come up with a recommendation and even possibly recommended changes. And they can recommend approval or denial. That, by law, then goes back to council, and then council, which will be next Tuesday, council will review all of that information, and they may ask additional questions, and in the end, they will make a decision to either approve it, modify it, or deny it.
And that final decision may or may not take place next Tuesday. I mean, that can go out, or is the goal to have that decision made next Tuesday?
The goal is to have that decision made next Tuesday.
How long does it generally take for that whole process to happen?
Well,
It's just depending on the certain...
it depends. I mean, the hearing processes are really pretty short. I mean, you can tell last Monday...
Yeah, I was over there at that.
Right.
Yeah, appreciated you being there.
Yeah.
Yeah, then the following Monday, we're having the second hearing, and then the Tuesday after that, the following week later, the Tuesday, we're having the final hearing.
Right.
But 30 days prior to that, the text is brought to the council, and the council sends it to that quarterly public hearing. So you're talking then now a total of 2 months, and then whatever time in front of that to actually draft that. And for the Affordable Housing Task Force, they worked on it pretty hard for quite a while to get that language before it finally went to council to be sent to the quarterly public hearing.
And there was a lot of good points made last Monday. I don't know if maybe this is too direct, but how do you think the outcome will be?
I have no idea.
I didn't know if you maybe had like I know I was like, maybe I shouldn't ask that, but I
Well,
didn't know
normally
if you
I
maybe...
can get a feel for it, but not, we had a family emergency, so not being there at that hearing, it's hard for me to kind of gauge which direction it's going to go. Yeah.
That was certainly one that there was a lot of discussion
There
about.
was, yes.
Now, prior to that meeting, though, Bill, a week ago, you came and you spoke at a Lunch and Learn.
Yes.
That's co-sponsored by the Chamber and the town of Boone through a program that we call the Hand of Hospitality program. That's where the town takes advantage of the promotional aspects of the Chamber to get the word out that there's a discussion wants to take place about a certain thing. And this is what that discussion was about. And this is the Unified Development Ordinance.
Yes.
Of which maybe that affordable housing would become a part of.
Yes.
That's not good English, but if you understand.
So if we
So
understand.
this document, which Bill just brought me, is the current document. And it's in
a
color,
lot.
but
It's
the
a big
current
book.
document is in black. The red is what's to be deleted, and the blue is what's to be added.
Oh, okay.
And the purpose is to make it understandable
Yes.
and easier to use, right?
Yeah, we actually, council, if you don't mind, I'll borrow this, but council gave us the directive to take this document, which is very convoluted, contradictory, and technical, and try to make it more user-friendly for the average person to look at and for staff to administer. So we're changing the language to plain English. We are reorganizing it, and actually what you're seeing here is a third of it.
Oh, so that's not even all of it.
This is not even all of it.
Wow.
But
Okay.
when it's finished, it'll actually be less than the current.
Okay.
Because in the current document, we may say, do this 5 or 6 times, because there's 5 or 6 different processes. Now, we're grouping all those processes together. Do this is only in there one time, then do this if you're going to do this, or, in addition to this part, do this
Right.
for this, do this for this, So we've streamlined it quite a bit. And then we've reorganized it. We had a lot of you may have subdivision in 5 different areas. Now it's in one area. So if you want to do a subdivision, you know exactly where to go, exactly how to do it. It's very easy to understand. So that was the primary focus
Right.
of doing this. And it really all started, we haven't even gotten to that portion yet, the permitted use table, which was very difficult to use. So that's where this all started.
Okay.
So what Bill shared with us at that Lunch and Learn was the process you've gone through in simplifying, collecting, putting checklists and all that make it more user-friendly.
Yes.
And it came out in the meeting, and thanks to Bill and others that were there, the mayor was there and another council member was there. This is now available on the website.
Yes.
And this part of the document will be discussed on the 28th, is that correct?
Yes.
And then when another section comes out, following that will be a discussion.
Yes.
And on. So there actually are 3 meetings scheduled to deal with the 3 different portions.
Okay.
February 28th, March 6th, and March 25th. So if you have questions about the UDO, I really encourage you, get on the website. because you don't want to show up and not have anything to.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't speak to something you haven't seen. And thankfully they put this up for us to be able to sit down and read through so you can understand it. And then again, each of the 3 sections will be discussed on each of those 3 nights.
Yes, I'm working on section 2 already, so we can get that up as quickly as we can.
That's great.
So-
That's great. And what's important is nobody wants slipshod work. Nobody wants something that's built that sticks out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
Right.
What we want are things that make our community look good and serve the community well and that type of thing. And so it's important if you have questions about UDO, if you're a developer, a builder, if you're a landowner that might want to do something in the future, you just own the land right now, this is an invaluable thing for you to participate in.
Right.
And you need to be, I told them at the meeting, this is like voting. If you don't vote, don't complain about who gets
Yeah.
elected.
Got a point.
If you aren't there to discuss it and to ask your questions, then you're just going to have to live by it. And that's not to say that Bill is not, I was going to use the word omnipotent related to this, but that's not to say that he's not an expert at it. But many ideas, sometimes there are things that may have not been included or an idea that might do something better. I mean,
Yeah.
so it is genuinely a request for public input.
Right.
Yeah, I'm one person, and so I've got a lot of experience, but I've got still a limited amount of experience.
Right.
And the people who do the development here, they really need to have a hand in this.
Right.
They really do.
Well, guys, thanks for coming on and sharing with us. When going out there and check out the meetings like they were both talking about. That way you can have your input on it as well. Go ahead and you can look that up online and read all about it online.
Right. Go under the Town of Boone and then click on
Planning and
planning and
inspections.
inspections.
And we also have a meeting tonight.
Yes.
Also.
Meeting tonight. That's the
Affordable housing.
Planning Commission's review of the Affordable Housing Task Force proposal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Going on at 6 o'clock.
At council chambers.
All right. Well, guys, thanks for coming in and speaking with us.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for having us here.
Yeah. And we'll be back in a minute with more MTN Channel 18.